Welcome to my community walk. Our first stop today is the Macomb Library. First things first, it's a two-story library that has an immense amount of resources throughout the 2 floors of this establishment. As we can see, it has audio files, video games, movies, CDs, children's books, non-English books, and a bunch of other things that could be helpful to its citizens. As we can see here, it does show a little bit of the history of this area. However, it is a very whitewashed and western view of this history. And up here, this is a very white colonial town that was established before time has shown that indigenous people were driven out of their land. Now, as we can see here, this is the children's area that shows and presents a bunch of English books, but it goes over a bunch of different cultures. And this right here is the small non-English section books. And here's more of the video games I was talking about previously, and just some other books that I wanted to show. The librarian guided me to the non-English section, and when I got there, I was a little taken aback. It's very small, and it is all the way back in a little corner on the 2nd floor. Now, as you can see, there are little brochures here that show you the different sections and different languages they have of certain books. When I was going through them, some of the books I've noticed were first English books, but then just reprinted in their different languages. I truly do think that's a benefit because you can have students reading popular books that their English friends are reading, and they're able to collaborate and speak about the book, but they're first able to understand it better through their native language. For me, I was kind of disappointed with how small this section was, simply because our community is pretty diverse, especially since this is our county library, which kind of oversees a bunch of different townships. I do wish to see more and hope that these ESL resources can be expanded for the non-English speaking citizens we have in our community. Next up, we have Selfridge Air and National Guard Base. This base is right off of Lake St. Clair and is located in Chesterfield Township. It is the biggest base in Michigan, and it is located right next to my house. So I was unfortunately not allowed to go on just simply because I do not have the identification able to go, but I was able to take pictures of the area. So as we can see, our base only has English lettering on there, but there are many people that work within our military here that are non-English speakers. And it's kind of astounding to me that you have one of the biggest armies in the world, but cannot have different languages for its workers. However, here, this is where we can drive past every single day, in which road I take to drive to and from Michigan State, and it has all the planes that land and take off from there. As you can see, this is one of the planes that I see fly by my house and almost anywhere when I'm in Chesterfield every single day, and it's very loud, but you become very accustomed to it. Next up is the Chesterfield Township office, which is also part of our Chesterfield Senior Center. So this is a place where you can have a different groups of whether it's generations, different cultures, or just different groups of people with different interests to gather together for free in nice and modernized places that are not very run down, and they've been updated and are made sure to be cleanly at all times. As we take a walk on this bridge, we are moving over to the Historical Center, which is actually right next to our township office. While I show some of the places that are in this historical site, we can kind of see that it doesn't really represent any of our indigenous or other Mexican and Arabic cultures that are immersed in our township. I'm kind of upset by it because Michigan has been one of the biggest advocates for Indigenous culture because of the Great Lakes and how much they have affected and helped us. And honestly, the only person of color that was represented in this was the project. And that was the picture that I posted. And as we can see here, too, that all of the wordings and description is only in English. Now, as we move on, this is a little community library that is right on the historical site. I open it and present to you all of the English books, and they're mostly a little bit outdated and probably for an older reading level. It is not really for younger children. And here we are at the Michigan Veteran Homes. So here, this is where we house some of the local veterans that just need assistance, almost like a assisted living home. This, however, used to be military owned property, and now they have given it back to the veterans and are able to live there again because they had to remove the housing previously. Next up, we're taking a trip on Gratiot. Gratiot is named after the historical site, Fort Gratiot, which is about 30 miles north from us, and it pretty much just goes through our town, but it also goes all the way down to Detroit and up to Port Huron, which is where Fort Gratiot is located. This is one of the many places that have been named as street signs, but I will be honest, a lot of street signs are named after white men. There's really nothing that entails of any diversity or something of a deeper culture that we have here. We move on next to our Anchor Bay Marina. This is one of the many marinas in Chesterfield Township, and it houses thousands and thousands of boats from all over southeastern Michigan, not just Chesterfield. And I threw in some pictures of what these boatyards look like and how they really keep our lake and money revenating into our local government. This is a big piece of the Chesterfield Township culture because we do live right off the lake. But it also shows kind of the limits of what our culture is. We are a very small boating town that is kind of now immersing itself into different cultures and different types of urbanization. This is a job that many non-English speakers have in Chesterfield Township because this job is mainly based on actions rather than words and speaking with people. As you can see before, it was mostly getting boats in and getting boats out, and it's really on if you know your stuff, you know your stuff, and you're able to do your job. Next up, we have Brandenburg Memorial Park. This park has been one of the core memories of my childhood, going here with my grandparents and my friends to go fishing and go swimming off the shores of Lake St. Clair. Now, these past couple years, we have been really renovating the area, so it is safe, free, and just an overall wonderful place for groups to gather and just to be immersed in nature and to cool off by the water. Some things I've noticed, though, is that there is no recognition of Indigenous cultures, especially because that we live on the water, and this is a great place to recognize people who have lived here before us and were forcibly removed from their lands. However, throughout Chesterfield Township, there is not much of that anywhere, not even at our Historical Society site. It is very disheartening to see and hear because we are a township that prides itself on being the gateway to the lake and wanting to immerse and provide life for all cultures. Lastly, we headed over to Kroger, my local grocery store. In Kroger, there were only 2 aisles of ethnic foods, and what I noticed was most of those ethnic foods were Kroger brand. They weren't actually companies from said country that were providing us this food. It was mostly ripoffs of American countries. Now, I don't know if that's just Kroger or if many other grocery stores do this, but I know that it does not have a wide variety of ethnic foods for people that live here and want to eat their native food. I do know that we do have a couple of other areas where you are able to get their foods, but it is a 30 to 40-minute drive, and that is just unacceptable, again, for a township that wants to be an advocate for all countries and cultures. Another thing I noticed, and I will show in a later video, is that we had a bigger aisle for Halloween decorations and candy over the ethnic foods we have had in Kroger for the past 10 to 15 years.